Ah, summer. I'm on vacation, can't you see? Relaxing. Relaxing times. Recall what video games you grew up with. Was it Call of Duty or Halo? Was it the adventures that Pokemon brought? Was it the hours you spent on RuneScape? Ford? You don't even have a frontal lobe developed yet, get out of here. I too had a game that I grew up with. A game that introduced me to video game. Mario Kart DS. And also probably Mario Kart Wii. I mean, I played other things too, but my palette was about as diverse as a J-pop fans playlist. But sifting through my vague records, there is one I can pick out as memorable. Hey, give me something nostalgic. Something to relive childhood memories. What? Applesauce? What do you take me for, an infant? Growing up, my home had a good amount of consoles, like the DS, Wii, Wii U, PlayStation, Xbox, you name it, but I only got to play on 2. Fast forward a few feeble years and we arrive at Place, Japan, 2015. Me and my sibling are each gifted a not so new 3DS and 2 games. Notice how it has games, Yokai Watch 1 and 2. Haven't heard of it before? It may not match the titans such as Pokemon or Mario Kart, but what it did bring brought Japan into a stranglehold. Merch, anime, manga, toys, spin-offs. If you lived in Japan through 2013 to 16 and haven't heard of Yokai Watch, then you're missing out on the rise of a massive cultural phenomenon, the Pokemon killer, until you weren't. So what was Yokai Watch? What's a yokai? If we can't already answer these questions, then that pretty much sums up why Yokai Watch failed in the West, but stuck with Japan. Yokai are the product of Japanese folklore, supernatural beings that explain phenomena. Dating back to the 8th century, yokai and folklore were a brigade of beings tainting your daily life with misfortune, often with uninviting looks. So what if we made them marketable plushies? That's what Yokai Watch did. It took the monster collecting genre in a different direction. Instead of your run-of-the-mill magical monster that exists to be monsters, these yokai were depicted as the causation of many strange occurrences in daily life. Your keys have gone missing? That's because of a yokai. It won't stop raining? That's because of a yokai. We impulsively bought a car and are now on the run from the IRS? Yokai! With the core idea being that you befriend these yokai, get yokai medals as a token of said bond, and then summon them from your watch, it opened a wormhole full of merch and toy lines. For Japan, the familiar nature of the concept such as yokai, and the playful rhymes with the names resonated with the masses. Of course, the multimedia push such as anime, manga, and movies helped Yokai Watch reach a wider audience. Hey, give me something more flashy, action, if you know what I mean. This is just sriracha. That's not even a drink anymore. The core battle system of the first 2 games had you rotating characters with a steering wheel, and trust me, it was more interactive than driving around a Honda Civic. Take the Wheel of Fortune for a spin as you decide who the damage sponge will be. It's also an auto battler. Your yokai, at any given moment, can either attack, guard, inspirit, or slack the off. Of course, the player has a few tools you can mess around with. Basic things like Soultimates, which is an ultimate, but with souls, and items. We also have pins to tell which enemy your yokai should prioritize. Then we get to cleansing. Within Yokai Watch, most yokai don't simply cause things by existing, but they inspirit people or objects for things to occur. And within the games, inspiriting can either be a buff or a debuff. Now, the act of cleansing isn't just a matter of clicking a button, nor is it for ultimates. You'll be given a random minigame in order to complete the action. Obviously there's more mechanics and nuance to the battle system, but overall it was a simple system that made it easy for anyone to get into and play. Of course, who could forget personalities? Outside of battles, you can endow your team with literature and promptly manipulate them into acting differently in battle. You can make your units more defensive, aggressive, supportive, and so on. Can't forget the book that makes you slack off less. God, I wish I had that book in real life. Moral of this game mechanic? You should read more books. Give me a drink, bartender. Give me something progressive, like the passage of time. That's just chloroform. Yeah, it passes the time, but that's not what I meant. Currently, Yokai Watch has 4 main games and a few spin-offs. I'll talk about my experiences of the games that I did play in order. Yokai Watch 2. What? I said it was in order that I played them in. That being said, with how long ago I played, Yokai Watch and 2 honestly blend together because of how casually I played them. Aside from being the only 3DS games that I had access to, if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't have completed both games. I never have and never will 100% the games though, especially after the second game where you started requiring alternate versions in order to get the title exclusives. It's really a testament to the game's difficulty if you could just run it down with any random yokai without any consideration about team composition, at least for the main story. The characters were spunky and the entire game was basically just another episode of an anime. For me, that was all I needed. Then Yokai Watch 3 rolls around and it throws the wheel out the window, opting in a 3x3 tile system instead. With this new system, you can swap out yokai manually and units can stand side by side for unique buffs, hide behind each other for protection, and even collect items that are randomly dropped throughout a fight. Unlike the previous games where you had to choose which units to sacrifice health for when taking hits from bosses, you can now see where the boss's attack would land and move your units accordingly. This did reduce the difficulty by a bit though, but it also allowed for more dynamic boss fights with interesting gimmicks. There is one more major addition to the battles in Yokai Watch 3, the Yokai Blaster. It would passively charge throughout the fight, and when it was ready, you would do a quick roulette spin to determine whether you deal damage or increase the friendship chance in an arcade-style shooting minigame. The minigame itself is enjoyable, but because there is zero real cost or penalty to using it, it allowed you to get a ton of free damage in. Okay, but what if you just didn't use... Hey bartender, give me something creative. Give me variety. Something different. Fireball. Another key part of Yokai Watch 3 was its plethora of minigames offered, from river rafting to zombie stealth missions, working a 9 to 5, and a whole co-op boss fight mode. Buster's Treasure was just something else. It offered more action-packed gameplay, packaged with extra benefits such as items and new yokai. It was basically its own game, till they made it one. Twice. It created an addicting gameplay loop of hunting down treasure while looking for the exit till you eventually fought the boss. The loot was both a blessing and a curse. Money and XP are heavily bottlenecked resources in Yokai Watch. When the alternate game mode gave ways to easily cap out your money and levels in an instant, I wouldn't say it ever ruined the experience, but there wasn't a sense of accomplishment either. That being said, the method was still time consuming and RNG heavy, so I wouldn't say it was an issue. Oh wow, too much talking about the gameplay. Maybe I should mention the manga and anime. Hey bartender, can you make me shaved ice while you're at it? Thank you. Summer. The anime was episodic, just enjoyable in the same way as any other kids show was. The manga, on the other hand, was definitely a piece of media of all time. Because of the drastic difference in humor from the West and Japan, especially for grade schoolers, the levels of, let's just say, interesting jokes were way more frequent. But the earlier books did a great job of not only setting up the yokai as fun and unique, but all the movie and spin-off stories were amazing as well. They set up new characters well, had a more serious touch, and had a satisfying plot and ending to each of them. It was great when the manga took a more long-form approach, but unfortunately, being based on a video game about different yokai, it was probably decided that the episodic format was much better. Yokai Watch 4 is still in progress. I decided to pick it up recently. Among all the ups and downs this franchise has gone through, hopefully whatever comes next will be good. Now I could keep going on about how this franchise was all I thought about for a certain point in my life, but no time for that. My shaved ice has to be ready soon. That's not what my summer...